Hello, friends. Welcome to Saga Thursday, the show all about the skirmish miniatures game from Studio Tomahawk. I'm your host, Rodge, joined once again by Monty. How are you, buddy?
Rodge, I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm good. So, yeah, we've got a few things planned for you tonight. Mainly, we're going to be talking about the Age of Viking Mercenaries.
Yep.
And we did the Crusades a while back. It was a two-parter. This one's probably going to be another. Well, we planned it out. It will be a two-parter. No surprise there. We will be kind of talking about the Age of Viking Mercenaries, and then we'll be talking them in context of Fimbulwinter as well, which is Age of Invasion armies. Some of them can take these Viking mercenaries, so we'll kind of spitball there about the possibilities, seeing as that's coming up. But other than that, we got a couple of games to chat about, just a little smidge of hobby stuff, and yeah, we're gonna have a good episode here. Let's jump right out here. Monty, any news for me, by the way? Our foreign correspondent, Monty Lumen.
Yeah, right. out on the Discord and the public space, keeping an eye on things. So, I don't know if you saw this. This was the first time I saw it, and it was very exciting. Fireforge is dropping or taking pre-orders for new plastic Arab kits for both Berber infantry and the Blackguard. And oh my gosh, the Blackguard. That's such a great style to build a warband around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I actually did see those, and I think I may have caused that by doing a review of the Gripping Beasts Muslims cavalry. And, when I looked it up, there was no other, that set's been out for like, I don't know, what do you think, like 8 years, Monty?
Yeah.
I don't know, there's probably a date on that box somewhere, but nobody else has come along. We have Victrix, War Games Atlantic, Fireforge doing a slew of stuff, but nobody has touched the Muslims. So, the day after I released that video, they're going to be in the works. So, yeah, I looked at them. They look really cool. The GBs, some folks, they're a little long in the tooth. So, Fireforge does a good job. The renders always look awesome of anything they do. And, yeah, if it's like the Byzantines, which it kind of looks like it might be, where they're like every possible variant almost. I mean, because one is like Berber infantry and then specifically like the Blackguard, I think, if I remember correctly. So that tells me like, yeah, we're going to do like 10 kits, like the Byzantines,
right,
have like 10 kits or something like that. So, yeah, that's awesome. And yeah, I don't have any specific news. I mean, I think they're still working on Alexander here. No secret details have been divulged. It's
been pretty quiet. If I can give just one other small shout out, just kind of seat of the pants here. So, I have not gone and built a warband around 3D resin prints, but I got to tell you, Rodge, the Siren Song is getting louder and louder. I mean, some of this stuff is so beautiful. It's reached a level of quality that I'm like, okay, which one should I land on? Which one should I start? And our buddy down in Chicago, Terry, pointed out that there is someone, he goes under the title Northern Crusaders Miniatures, and he has a large and lovely Crusader 3D files, but what I really liked when I dug in there was he had Baltic Crusaders, so you could find like Eastern princes in there, and they were awesome looking. I started looking at, I'm like, okay, how much will this cost me to buy all these, files? And then I just need to find a volunteer to print them out. Quite lovely, but I'm thinking about it. There's gonna come a day, and it's gonna be soon, where I'm gonna give it a try and pull up some 3D resin prints for painting.
Okay, yeah, I gotta say, I'm similarly enticed with the stuff out there. I guess I haven't seen those Crusaders there, so you have to send me a linky poo.
Right, those were news to me.
All right, well. Fimbulwinter, got to chat about that, of course. Monty.
Yes.
And I'm pretty stoked about this. People are coming out of the woodwork. We got the usual folks are coming, and then people that I've been badgering or gave up on years ago are coming, and there's some buzz about some long distance travelers, so that's really awesome. Tournament packets up in the Discord, and yeah, this is going to be awesome. But we do have a little bit of Fimbulwinter business here, so every episode until then, I'm going to be canceling out one of the options for round 2, the Battle of the Heroes.
Okay.
And so we're going to cross off the list a scenery item uplands. And this is the first element chosen must be a ruin or rocky ground by each player. And I mean, that's just normal Saga operating procedure, Monty.
It is.
Nothing. I want something special, so
I agree.
We're not going to do this one. I don't even have enough ruins or rocky grounds to make it happen. So we had to toss that one. If you were a betting man, you might have predicted that one. So no surprise there, but we'll have some surprises down the road. So yeah, cross off uplands. If you're following along at home, you don't have to worry about that one going forward. And let's pop along here to some hobby stuff. So we didn't have much planned. My Chaos Dwarves, I'm getting the shields 3D printed. There was a little snafu, and so some of the stuff I had to get printed again, and I just got it now, but I haven't gone back and done the shields on the Chaos Dwarves, so nothing to report there.
Can I ask, are the shields, like, is the trick that the shields have a cool, like, image or symbol or
yeah, they're embossed. I don't know if that's the right word. Yeah, there's like an image on there, a skull, different skulls and stuff.
Nice.
So there's a guy making Chaos Dwarf 3D sculpts. They're awesome.
Wow.
I might end up getting some done, but his name's Fimble Winter. And so these shields, all the stuff he does is really retro, meant to mix in with the old stuff from the 90s. So at that time, the shields were just blank, and you'd use decals on them. So I'm like, nobody really wants to do that, So he's got these embossed shields that are like, in the same kind of style. And, I got them all. I got little goblin ones. I got Chaos Dwarf ones, medium. I got large bull centaur size shields, Monty. So they're looking pretty good. Yeah, by next episode, I'm hopefully
awesome.
They'll be done, officially done, and I'll take some pictures of them. But I do have a little bit to report on with the Muslims. So as referenced earlier, I did a review of the Gripping Beast, Arab Heavy Cav and Light Cav, so check that out. And I painted up a couple, 4 composite bow horsemen, and I was using Pro Acryl paints. I kind of describe it in the video, but
right.
Basically,
love those.
I just built up the layers on them, and I'm really, really happy with how they turned out. And I definitely have a Muslim army in my Saga top 5 next armies. Definitely top 10. I'll put it in the top 5 armies. Muslims, Hannibal, Goths in there. Yeah, there's quite a few in that top 5.
Right.
Maybe 8 armies in the top 5. But yeah, I really liked how these turned out. They were pretty fun to paint, and this could be the start of them. I don't know. I don't have any specific plans. I did show you the pics there, Monty. Any questions or anything from you?
So I could think of 2 questions. Well, a comment and then maybe a question. Mm-hmm. I just love seeing speeded painting, because you started, you had a base, and then you went for your first highlight, and then you went an extreme highlight over it, and then you went back with the color that you had been using before to go over the highlight. So it was interesting. That is not like that particular series of steps. I've never done it. Well, except for maybe when I'm trying to do a red that really pops, you sometimes need to get a pink or
You got to
something.
you got to go white
Right,
underneath, a
right.
really light color, so the red.
Exactly.
Really.
So that was an interesting step to see how you got your fast results. So then I think I loved them, first of all, but second of all, I have to ask then, do you have any sense of how long it took? Like for you, like what is fast?
I wouldn't say these were fast.
No? Okay.
But they were typical. I would say average.
Okay.
Average speed. Yeah. I didn't think they took any longer than that. Like some of my Chaos Dwarf stuff, where I did use speed paints, in the end, I probably spent about the same amount of time on some things. I think there could be. So this was pure pro acro and layering. I think you probably could do a speed paint for the base coat and then kind of do every other step that I did on top of it. I think there could be something said for that. And with the going back and forth, I don't know. I've kind of some of my like earliest Warhammer armies, like I remember painting, just doing that to kind of create. You got the high and the dark, do the highlight first and then go back and blend the mid-tone kind of. So, I guess, I don't know. In the bigger the surface area, the more, I tend to do that. I was trying to do some really stark highlights, but, I ended up kind of going back and kind of blending it a little more than I imagined when I would first set up. It looks good. I mean, you kind of build up those layers. They're super saturated, and they're really colorful. So, I think I could see myself doing up an army of guys like this. So, yeah.
Well, nice.
Monty, have you built these guys? This kit as one of your 4 or 5 Mutanawea armies?
Oh, I know. So
been the plastics or not?
I gotta think about it. I have done. I think like I mean I know these. I recognize them. I've seen them. I think I used them to help kit bash my Byzantine. A mounted Byzantine force. I wasn't happy with like the models that were out there, and I was trying to get a certain kind of like robed look that was occurring throughout my army, and so I had to use like these and do heads and chests and a little mixing it up to get the look that I wanted. But yeah, these go quick, and I think your whole thing was spot on. If you have the time, it really does need a little green stuff. And if you don't have the time and it doesn't bother you, you can skip that step too. But I think the results you had, the results speak for themselves. Fill in the cracks, take your time, and make them look good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, ended up looking good. So
yeah,
this is the second kit I've done in the last couple months. So I think I'm gonna do another one coming up here. We'll see, but. They kind of been tests of getting my camera rigs set up for painting videos and stuff like that. So, I think I'm getting the hang of it. All right.
Very nice.
We'll be back next month with some more hobby. Right now, we can chat about some games. And, Monty, why don't you regale us? We're looking at an image here.
Right.
You sent to me. It looks like chaos.
It is chaos. So it's always a little tricky to kind of succinctly explain a game, but I will jump in with 2 feet. Scott and I came out and we wanted to take a stab at testing one of your new scenarios, and in particular, we tried Let the Blood Run, which is your reimagining a battleground campfire. And first of all, without like doing it, unless you wanted to do a deep dive, I love the changes, like the little tweaks. And a buddy of mine was out, and he didn't have a game, so he sat there and he was like reading it. He's kind of talking on the sidelines, like, "Oh, I see what he's doing here." And so we were running his Franks against my picks. And I was a little bit nervous as the game kind of started up because we went through the bidding process. He bid 2 points, and I'm a cheap bastard, so I bid 1. So he was player 1, which makes me nervous with Frankish people because it's called Frankish people on a common die. You can activate like 3 Frankish units to hustle, and I'm like, holy, right? Mm-hmm. I was like, holy hell! When Scott gets rolling with the Franks, once he gets that first Wanderer's belt, he gets the second one. Look out, because when he gets the third, all hell breaks loose, and he runs me off the table. So I'm really nervous about this, and I kind of built my warband like a little beefier warrior units than I usually do, and I didn't really want to do anything rash with my whole 3 dice in turn 1. And when he finally got going, the pressure starts right away because of the blood pool. He smacks a unit, he kills a bunch of figures, and I'm trying to think like what I'm going to do in my turn. And I'm like, well, I don't want to shoot because his blood pool, I don't want to give him extra die. So I had to come roaring out of the gate, like commit my 6-pack of mounted Hearthguard before I wanted to try to keep the blood pool rolling.
It's up to you, Monty. You can let it slip. You might regret it.
I will regret it because see, Scott will like take that extra die. He'll throw a helmet. He'll put it in Mund and he'll take away 6 of my dice. 6 dice. Oh God, it's just horrible when it happens. He's like, okay, take 6 dice. I'm like, this is just mean. Yeah. Anyways, I got a little lucky. And some good pickish rolls and some decent defense helped me kind of tamp out his first 2 strikes. He did not win. And then I unleashed my Hearthguard, and that one worked to perfection. And we played a little bit more, and it kind of fell apart kind of quickly, as it can sometimes do, right? And I was like, okay, that was fascinating. Number 1, to let the blood run with your little changes in here. And then number 2, to just kind of, I'm starting to get my head around like the pick abilities. You look at their board and you think, oh, this is for doing this. And then as you play it a couple, 3 times, you start realizing there's deeper plays and some clever and creative stuff that you didn't pick up in your first pass. So yeah, it was fun. Then we had time for a second game. So how good is that?
Awesome. Glad to hear. That sounds cool. The picks serving you well. Right?
Well, on this day at least.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. How many Hearthguard did he have with the Franks?
He was, I got to think about this. Oh, he had an 8-pack, and that was like coming right up the gut for me. And I was just like, oh dear Lord, I have got to like, especially since he can double move and get a fatigue-free charge. I just was like, I was so sweating this game, and I just really got lucky because the first 2 charges didn't quite come off. I made my saves. He didn't get those wins. And then, he was down to committing the 8-pack. They got into a wheat field to beat up some warriors. I kind of survived, got 2 fatigues on him, and then just tore the 8-pack apart in my turn.
No.
So, I know. That's the risk, right, of running the 8-pack. But, I mean, I also was like, 16 dice, no.
That's awesome. Well, with that rare on Mundo, you know,
right?
Yeah, you're feeling a little safer with that big pack there.
Yes, you do.
Oh, that's awesome. I got in a game as well, picking it up here. Hopefully, I'll get a few more in. I don't have a pretty picture of this one. It was me. I was playing Vikings first. Local fella Nathaniel, he wanted to try out the Scraelings, Monty. So, that was a really interesting game. We did play Share the Wealth. That's the round 3, kind of capture the objective scenario that we're going to play at Fimbulwinter. So, got to run through that. Worked out pretty well. The Scraeling board is really interesting. I think there will be a Scraelings faction review at some point. I need an expert to step up and let me know how it goes. So if anybody has some Scraelings knowledge, I'd be interested in setting up a faction review. I do know in like Germany, I think I read on the Discord that they'll let it in, let folks play with it.
Yes, they will.
So yeah, the gist of the board: use any Saga dice you want. Some abilities can take any dice. Some require 2 of the same dice, 2 of the different dice, or there's abilities that require 3 different dice, so you need a rare uncommon. And half the abilities give your units these totems, and these totems are basically kind of permanent saga buffs, that are ongoing. So one of them is you can close ranks and you reroll all defense dice. Is one of the So once once they get up there, because everything's armed with javelins, or you can take some levy with bow. So the rules for this, it's on Studio Tomahawk website. Anybody can go there and download. There's a little PDF with the faction info and the battle board, and I encourage folks to give it a shot. Second turn, so for those totems, generally the really good ones require 3 different symbols to activate them. A lot of abilities required 2 different symbols, and on the second turn, he rolled all commons on 7 dice, and so he wasn't able to get the roll in there. So the tempo with the Scraelings is they need a couple, a real soft first or second turn to kind of hang back, gear up, place the totems on their troops, and then once everything is set in place on turn 3 and 4 or 5, they'll run out and go crazy on you. So if you're fighting against the Scraelings, then you want to try to get in there and kind of smash them up before they do that. So was able to do that. It's kind of a test game anyways. Kind of, I didn't know that's what I had to do before the fight. I never really looked at it until that game. But it was kind of fun. It was interesting. We were kind of chit-chatting because he wants to build a Scraeling force. Okay. He agreed. We'll do a battle report video. He's agreed to do a video battle report when he gets them ready. But they're not allowed at Fimbulwinter. So we're chit-chatting, and I think I read this on the Discord too. If you want to use them, well, you can just use them as Irish, run them as Welsh, maybe the picks, pick which one. Right. I'd have to go back and kind of look at the options on each. And, if you wanted to go the levy bow route, I'll use the Irish then. If you want more kind of faster javelin guys, well, then you do the Welsh, and then the picks. Offhand, I don't remember too much about them, but maybe that would suit your vision of the Scraelings. I think that's kind of a cool way to run it. It's got my full approval, full backing. Monty, what do you think of that?
Yeah, so I have seen them one time, and I was quite impressed. I don't think, like version 1, I will say it was a long time ago. I think version 1 Scraelings were pretty broken because they take your best board abilities, they use them, and now you can't use your board. That's too big of a hit.
I told them there was, if you just kind of bring up Scraelings, and the veterans might start complaining out the gate for I'm like, well, there's some bad blood from the prior edition here. People are a little prejudiced against that they just so right.
But I found them, first of all, I found them fascinating, those multi, the totems, and each, not every unit, but units having different strengths and characteristics. It's like, holy cow, it's a game within a game. And it was very challenging, and I would gladly play Scraelings again in a heartbeat. So not like version 1. Version 1, like a dog that eats a poisonous toad, you don't want to eat that toad again. I would happily play version 2 Scraelings. Plus the models are awesome. Yeah.
He's looking to get them 3D printed. So
okay.
I'm sure there'll be cool stuff out there.
Yeah.
So what do you think about in a tournament, Monty?
I only saw him one time, and this is the tricky part, right? Just hot take. There is power in competitive events to come to the table with something that just most people have either never seen or only vaguely know about. So, shoe on the other foot, if I was going to do it, you would probably want to print out some boards so you can push them across, because no one, other than Scraeling players, no one will have the board. No one will be able to lay out the board next to their board and try to puzzle out what's happening. So I think it's doable. The Germans have proven that it is doable. The Scraelings don't go out and win all the German tournaments, right? But I think as a courtesy, since it's not really publicly available, it's not sitting in any of the books that we have, it might be a good idea to just have like an extra copy printed up so that if you're going to play someone, they can at least pop that board down and like look at it and try to figure it out as they get beat the first time.
Yeah, I agree with kind of what you said. There's a power in bringing something that is unfamiliar. So I think if your group is just, somebody is bringing them, plays them from time to time, everybody's played them, everybody knows about them.
Yeah.
I think you could throw them in the mix.
Agree.
So like if in the Midwest, Nathaniel builds this army and he brings it to Saga Storm, or a Adepticon, we're playing casual games, somebody else builds one and there's a couple around and everybody's played it. I think you could just throw it in there.
Agree.
Otherwise I would be hesitant just based off, familiar, it is possible somebody, people don't like to read the rules pack, they just read their book and they show up and they're like, I've never even heard of it, So we want to avoid that. But
Agree.
I think just from what I saw, they do use different mechanics. There's some powerful stuff on there, but there's a cost to everything. So, I'm looking forward to get some more games in and doing a video battle report at some point. So, let's jump to the main topic, Monty.
Here we go.
We're looking at Age of Viking Mercenaries here. So we're going to skip over all the named guys and gals, if there's one. I don't think there is. I think it's just the guys. And we're going to spitball these. Choose winners, losers. I don't know.
I think
just
so.
Chat about it.
Let's see if we get any controversy going here.
Yeah. So let's just mention the fact stuff. So I don't know how common this is. So in the book itself, you choose your mercs based off the Saga dice type of your forces. And then in the Age of Vikings fact, there's an optional table that has different stuff there. So, I don't know. You can use that or not. It's more restrictive.
Yeah.
I think we'll just kind of go by the Saga dice interpretation.
Sounds good.
Then since this is basically optional here, but let's jump in with the Shield Maidens.
Yes.
Bonnie, how do you rate these gals? It seems like we talk about them a lot.
Right.
We talk about them frequently, don't we?
We do. We somehow come back to this one. So I love the Shield Maidens, and I love them for two reasons. Number one, the figure options out there are awesome. Number two, three reasons. A lot of different factions can use them. And number three, I was playing Vikings in a friendly competitive game with a buddy, and I let him take something like high speed and tooled up, and my Shield Maidens were doing the heavy lifting. Like, they were what kept the Vikings in the game. And when it was done, I was like, holy Hannah, like if you could, as a Viking player, like maybe step one is simply like, make sure you can take a merc and take Shield Maidens every single time, because they hit above their weight, and when the field gets messy, all their sweet plays start kicking in.
Yeah, I pretty much agree. I pretty much agree with you. I'm trying to think, of these like auto takes, and you gotta think about your Saga board. They can't be activated with abilities. They can't trigger the melee or shooting ability, so they have to have something else. They're worth more victory points than other units. They are worth less survival points than they're half survival points. If for massacre you eliminate over half of the unit, you get a point, and then 2 points if you wipe them out completely. So those are some big downsides, but
Agree.
I think in most time, I think I would want to take them. Yeah.
Right. And for me, like, it's the duality of like two really powerful things in under one ability. Valkyrie, they have determination. If I'm going to take a merc, the best mercs are the ones that don't pull on my board, the ones that like can activate themselves. So there it is. And here, how about this one? You want to save yourself another die? They have a banner. So they're going to get in there. It's going to get messy. They're going to get fatigued. And then your turn comes and you're like, sweep of fatigue. And I've got determination. I'm coming in. Mm-hmm. That's great.
Yeah. They take care of themselves. They go out there, they do their own thing. They've got special stuff, re-rolling, they're +1. They're pretty awesome. So
yeah, agree.
I highly recommend the Shield Maidens. A lot of great minis out there. For Fimbulwinter, so they've been restricted to Vikings, Norsgales, and Pagan Rus. So your runic dice, your Viking dice factions, but we let the Barbarians and the Britons also have them. So Franks, Goths, Saxons, Britons. I don't know if I said that. What do you think about for Age of Invasion forces? Can they fit in with the Franks and the Goths?
I think
Saxons?
So.
Yeah,
I think so. But without a doubt, yeah. Yeah, I'm just looking really fast to see like what the order's abilities are, and oh my gosh, yeah. The Franks have order stuff, so those bonuses, well, the Francisca won't flow through to them, but it's just they get to do so many things. Like if you're worried about shooting, the fact that they walk around with auto light cover, like they can be a screening force, and then when you're ready to melee, they do that. They're such a great multi-purpose tool. I mean, I would definitely think about them if I was running those factions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think they could fit in quite nicely. Yeah, I don't know. I like them for the Saxons. I think they could be fun. Yeah, we could work them in. All right, let's move to the Galgadel.
Or for people like me who can't pronounce it, the Sons of Death.
Yeah, I was going to say, people say Sons of Death all the time, and I remember having to look that up. I'm like, who are the Sons of Death? I never heard of those guys. And it's the Galgadel. Yeah, these are warriors. They have aggression of 2 if they charge. That's all you need to know.
Yep.
Well, actually, no, there is more you need to know. They can't be activated once another friendly unit has been activated, and they activate for free, and they can't rest until exhausted. They never close ranks. So this is your first unit. They just kind of activate until they're stopped.
Yep.
And then after attack dice, they, as if that wasn't enough money, they inflict the number of automatic hits on the enemy unit equal to, is it still half? Yeah, half the number of hits that inflicted on them. So these guys have been fact fairly substantially. So the auto hits can't exceed half the number of the Galgadel. Yep. And then the big one is if one of their activation is canceled for any reason, they can't be activated again. So that is actually pretty huge, because once they have one fatigue, if you're not within short, it could be a cancel a charge. It kind of depends on what you're doing here.
It says failed charge, so bingo, that's it.
So it can really kind of mess with what you might have to move and then charge. But once you have 2 fatigues, then they're basically done at that point. But on the flip side, it kind of, I don't know, you kind of almost want to let them go till exhaustion, because if you cancel at 2,
they're fresh.
They're geared up. Yeah, they're fresh for the next turn. So you got to have a plan.
Yeah.
So if you got a shooty army and you can shoot them out, that's probably
perfect.
What you want to do. So these guys, pretty much any faction here can be going good. Have you taken the Galgadel, Monty?
So I have never taken them. No, I don't think I've ever taken them, because my gosh, even before the FAQ, they were just world class, auto take. So I would nudge towards some of the other options, but I want to say that when I'm looking at tournaments that allow people to pick, any Age of Viking Merc, these guys are almost always the number one top pick. Which is interesting because there are some really good other choices in here, but my unofficial, back of the envelope recognition is you just see these guys taking quite a lot, and I think that's a recognition that, like, the idea is you pay a point, they're a death dealing machine, and even when you go in to kill them, they're going to take you with them. So I think people generally feel like they pull their weight, that they kill enough stuff that it's worth paying for these mercs.
Yeah, I agree. Like, just having these guys can really change the tempo of the battle. I mean, because if you can deliver them, they're gonna delete whatever.
Yes.
Unless there's some strong Saga abilities in play. I mean, 16 attacks plus some auto hits coming back at him.
Right.
Yeah.
Brutal.
I guess the fact stuff really has, I think, helped out.
Agreed.
It's going to give you some tough decisions here, but they can definitely kind of, if you let them get out of hand, they can just win you the game, I think, in one stroke. So yeah, these guys are pretty nasty. Almost anybody can take them. We're not allowing them at Fimbulwinter. A little too crazy. Would I don't know. What do you think? Shield Maidens or the Gold Panel here? Just based off like the armies that you have. I mean,
right. I mean, I do love, like, so, well, shoot, if the Shield Maidens can play the little improving their morale or against them, maybe if the Sons of Death come in with some fatigue, they can maybe go toe to toe, but otherwise, I think the Sons of Death can erase them otherwise. Yeah,
I think in a straight up fight, the Galgados there are probably going to do some serious damage.
Goodbye, Banner.
Yeah, I think these guys are fun. Definitely worth considering if you are haven't really tried out mercs. Yeah, not a lot of Fimbulwinter, but very, very strong unit. And let's move on to the Breton Cavalry.
Yes.
And so this is 8 warriors mounted on horses with javelins, and any unit suffering a casualty as a result of shooting attack suffers a fatigue after it's been resolved. And if they have fewer than 2 fatigues during a melee, instead of triggering a Saga ability during step 3, they can take 2 fatigues to discard all their attack dice, and then the enemy also does that. So even if they catch your Breton, so if you have 1 or basically 0 or 1 fatigues, you can pop that ability. So have you taken the Bretons?
I have not. There's a little bit. Our local group has been a little bit not a big fan of mercs in events. So for the longest time, I just didn't mess with them. We now kind of informally are like, hey, you want to take mercs, bring them. I think they have a fabulous synergy with, say, the Anglo-Danes trying to do their fatigue game. And if you feel like, you want to be a fatigue dealer, I think this is a really good merc to do a specific thing. Fly up, shoot, hopefully cause a casualty. And if you do, dish a fatigue too.
So this is one that, you got to spend the dice on them. So they're not fully self-sufficient. They're not a no-brainer. Right. Both the Galgadal and the Shield Maidens, part of why they're so good is they kind of take care of themselves. The Bretons, you kind of have to activate, spend your dice to do it. But I think that harassment ability, that's pretty good. And, for Anglo-Danes is kind of what I was thinking of when I was taking them. The problem is you got to paint more horses, Monty. But I'm kind of getting over that, actually. So I did the Goth Cav review. I did the Arab Cav review. I'm kind of like inoculating myself against horse painting syndrome. I don't know.
That's understandable.
So that might be in my future here. Now, the Breton Cavalry is interesting because these are also in Age of Invasions, Monty. These are I believe that the Vascons Scouts is what they're called in Invasions. I don't have that book with me. The rules are identical, but you can take a foot version in that book.
Oh, okay.
So this is kind of... So they're a little bit better, a little bit more flexible in Age of Invasions, because you can take them on foot. And I think if they're on foot, I think they might go through terrain without penalty.
Yeah, I think so.
Correctly. So we are allowing Breton cavalry at Fimbulwinter. And the Merc list, I originally based it off the FAC list because I wanted it to be a little bit more restrictive. So it's a little restricted to fewer factions than the Age of Vikings book would suggest, but it is open to those factions in Age of Invasions that can already take the Vascon Scouts. So it's nothing new or crazy. It's a Merc unit that they can also take, essentially. So, I don't know, Franks with Breton Cav, Monty? Does that sound good to you? Does that work?
Yeah, I mean, it could be. I just... So my recollection is when you take the mercs, the ones like this or Steppe Tribe, you got to send them forward with a dice or a wheel bay, and you don't want to leave them within 6 inches.
No, you got to spend another die to pull them back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then they come back. And now, before you try to send them forward, you don't want to have them, have a short move. So you're going to have to rest them. So it seems like about turns, maybe as early as 3, certainly by 4 or 5, you just don't have the dice to play that little cheeky run them out and run them back. So I myself, as good as this, mixes with a couple warbands, I wouldn't pick this one.
Okay. Makes sense. Yeah. Like we said, you got to pay for them in your dice. You kind of need some boards synergy in addition to what they offer. And I think, like we said, the Anglo-Danes is probably the one you consider the most. And because, too, like the Anglo-Dane, you don't have a good shooting option. You can take the levy, but they don't do anything else on your board. So this way you can take a little shooting, and where, like, with Normans or something, what are they bringing to the table that, you're just regular warrior guys aren't doing? I mean, you got your reactions and stuff like that, so they're even more kind of vulnerable. So, yep, I agree, Monty. Let's move down to the Flemish Mercenaries.
Yep.
So popular at first, but you never see these guys. Oh. They're 8 warriors, but they got armor 5 in melee and shooting. They move short. Always. No good. They count as being in heavy cover when they're getting shot at or when they're hit by a charge. So they're always blocking on 4s. And if they close ranks anyways, they can re-roll any defense dice, which do not cancel a hit.
Yeah. Good luck getting a hit through then.
Yeah. So again, one that pretty much any army can take.
Yep.
I don't know. Based for what you're seeing at Fimbulwinter, would you, if you could take these guys, would you?
Okay. So you always have to think of what the scenarios are, right? And what the objectives are. I think there might be a place for them, but boy, wasn't it the FAQ that kind of clipped their wings?
Yeah, I guess it's worth mentioning the FAQ. So they can only be activated once per turn by their owner. So that's a fairly large downside, wouldn't you say, Monty?
Yes, it is. I mean, they were a stone wall. And so people love them in objective-based scenarios, or if you're the Welsh, maybe you stick them right out front. And you weren't, back in the day, afraid to double move them and pick up a fatigue because you just close ranks and, save out of all your hits. But now they're just so slow. You're just you're going to just have trouble getting them in position. And I think I'm betting you've done the same thing. If someone plays them against me, I just play around them. I'm not going to shoot them. I'm not going to melee them. I'm going to just while they're moving around 4 inches a turn, I'll just work around them. So,
yeah, I agree. It's not really worth interacting with them for shooting, or you're just not going to be doing much. As sometimes that's good. That's what you want,
Right.
when you're playing. But I think most armies kind of having this turtle of a unit kind of trucking around the board isn't going to be handy. I guess the one army I would say is the last Romans. With the redirect abilities.
Yes.
You could get a lot more out of those, and then they have the ability where you can add defense dice or attack dice to merc units in wholesale. So I think you could really make these guys unkillable, or do some damage while you're blocking hits on rerolls. So they are not allowed at Fimbulwinter. They're kind of fuddy-duddy. Didn't include them on the list, so that was kind of a trick question there for you. But
I like it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the last Romans is probably the only for. I mean, I have taken them with the last Romans, and you can get some mileage out of them. You can force the enemy to interact with them, where, like you said, you just move around them, and you're good to go. All right. Step nomads, Monty. So this one is interesting. So these are 8 warriors on horse, equipped with composite bows. They have an aggression of half in both melee and shooting. So I guess they're normally a warrior would be a 1 in melee, so they have fewer attacks there. Yep. They move 3 medium sticks instead of 2. And then after their combat pool has been generated, they discard all their attack dice and replace them with defense dice. So typically you'll be, if you're full strength, generating 4 defense dice, but you're not attacking. So kind of like the Bretons. If they catch you, you kind of shut them down. They're eagle eyes. They can reroll 1s to hit for shooting. And then, now, Monty, this is the interesting part, where we might see a fact for these steppe nomads, because the nomadic horsemen from Age of Invasions are identical.
Okay.
But if they, I'm going to have to look up the rule here. If they end the turn or start the turn and there's no enemy within short, they immediately ditch a fatigue. So we are going to, for Fimbulwinter at least, everybody's going to use the nomadic horsemen.
Okay, good. Good. Because that reduces the tax right there that we talked about just minutes ago.
Yeah. So they do. So you got to pay to move them, but with the composite bows, they'll shoot for free at least. But I'm just kind of confirming that rule on the fatigue thing. Bringing it up here. Unprepared.
Oh, no. It's all good.
It's all good. Yeah. Yeah, if they're more than short away from all enemy units at the start of the owner's activation phase, they remove 1 fatigue.
Nice.
So you move in, shoot, move back, way back.
Way back,
gain a fatigue, and then at least you're getting some utility there. So with the nomadic horsemen, Monty, so assuming that's what the Vikings will be moving to, because you have these identical units here. Right. Are these looking any better for you? I mean, you never saw these before.
No, not at all. That's one less Saga diet turn to keep them moving. So that's a pretty big step up. I will just say I'm just a little... Again, everyone should do exactly what they want, try the figures they want, the mercs they want. But personally... I like to run mounted factions, and if someone's going to put steppe nomads out there, I would have no problem double moving in like my 6-pack of Norman warriors with their javelins, with the fatigue, and charge them and empty the saddles of my opponent. You know what I mean? Because they would just be, they're great against foot, but if your opponent on the other side has some mounted, they're going to probably be hunting for them.
Yeah. All you have to do, they got the defense dice there, so maybe, it's not worth it to charge in. But all you have to do is just get within short, and then they're not going to slough the fatigue, and now they got to rest and move. It's like, almost just like, just kill him, you know? Like, I don't want to have to pay for these guys to escape. So this one's interesting. It's only allowed to the Romans and then the Viking dice factions. So if you think pagan, Rus, Vikings,
Okay.
I mean, is there a place for them with those factions?
So you're shooting 4 dice, and that's just such a small amount, right? And we know from experience, you roll 4 dice, you miss all 4. You roll 4 dice, you get 4 hits, your buddy saves all 4. You know, it's just such a small impact for like 2 Saga dice. And so then right away I start thinking, well, if I didn't sink 2 Saga dice or a Weo Bay and a Saga dice to pull them back, like what could I do with the rest of my board? And I just think there are probably better ways to spend your energies. But then again, that's just my personal experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think even with that extra buff from the Age of Invasions, we're kind of assuming that they're going to get it. It just that doesn't work out. For the Viking factions, I don't think you need these guys. You can take Levy with Javelin, and there's typically some sort of synergy.
They can use the board.
Some kind. Even the pagan Rus, it's not their favorite, but they can take some Javelin boys if they wanted. And then for the last Romans, I mean, they got enough shooting anyways.
Yeah, that's true.
It doesn't. I mean, there's not enough dice to play the last Romans from having played the last Romans. So having extra for these guys, I mean, I don't know. If you're going to, I don't know. Because I believe the warriors can take composite bows on a horseback. So it's like, well, you could take these instead. And I guess maybe you would take these instead, but or you could just not take them at all, and you'd probably be better off. So this is one. It still doesn't cut the mustard, even with that little buff. So I'd probably move on from the steppe nomads. Now the angry monks, Monty, is interesting because I always forget that these guys exist in the Age of Vikings because they're an Age of Crusades. It's one that's an Age of Crusades.
Exactly.
And there's Peter the Hermit and the Crusaders board, which kind of specifically does stuff with these. We've kind of gone over the intricacies of that. And how do you rate the angry monks in the Age of Vikings? So this is 12 unarmed levy.
Right.
What do they all do? If you kill the last one, all your fatigue, discard all fatigue markers from your warband. That's pretty good. There's got to be something there. Whenever one is killed, you take a available Saga die, place it on your battle board, and you can remove a fatigue from one of your units within short of the monks. I'm liking these. That's all good stuff. How come these guys don't seem to make it to the top of the list? Is there anything I'm missing here, Monty? These guys seem golden.
Right. I mean, they're not gonna go out and kill anything.
That's true. Yeah.
Right. But I think there are some subtle opportunities. And I know this summer I was playing someone, they wanted to try what were they running Crusaders? Well, they used Fanatical Pilgrims, same kind of principle, and I made the mistake of kind of bunching, and so he pushed his monks up like right into these clusters, let them die, and as each figure dies, he's putting more dice on his board, and he's hyper-activating his units. They're like rocket fuel for everything else. And I kind of blundered into that. I should have known, like, oh no, angry monks, spread out, like don't cluster. But I was clustering, so he's cleaning up units, he's multi-charging, and I'm like, oof. Yeah, I kind of stumbled. So there is an opportunity. Also, I remember someone was playing Anglo-Danes, and they were kind of using the angry monks as a shooting screen, keep all the shooting off the rest of his troops. And he was slowly like adding extra dice to his board because that is a little spendy of a board. And he was feeding his board with the death of the monks. But it's a balancing act, right? You traded off a fighting unit and a whole point of your army to try to get Saga dice onto your board, and then like what are you going to do with those dice? Can you maximize it? Can you get your point back, basically?
Yeah, that's a good point. I think, yeah, I guess it kind of depends on your faction. I could see, I don't know, I could see like an Irish player or something, yeah, doing a bunch of shooting, clearing your board. Well, I got one, I'll charge the monks in here and to get 4 or 5 more dice, reset all the levy and javelin warriors. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe something about a shooting faction seems like a match made in heaven there. So we are allowing him at Fimbulwinter.
Yep.
A lot of stuff can take him. A lot of the Christian guys. And in Age of Invasions, they do not have angry monks. But we're going to allow the Romans and the Britons to take these.
Good.
Anything there based off what you know of the Romans and Britons? Are they tantalizing?
Yeah. Gosh, off the top of my head, the last Romans board is pretty hungry, and it's got a lot of great abilities. So maybe you could kind of maybe they can help you keep your impetus up and kind of hyperactivate a little bit. I really haven't for 1 second kind of figured out the synergies between those two. But counterpoint, what is the trick if someone brings angry monks out, to kind of neutralize them?
To neutralize them?
Yeah, right. Just to make it so your opponent regrets having brought him out. Okay, I'm not trying to be too cute. You want to deliver a freaking hammer
just
blow.
Kill them all in one
That's
go.
It. Just one.
I mean, they can't put 12 dice out.
That's it. They won't get to plink and plunk and add one here and take a fatigue. It's just boom. And there you go. What are you going to do with your, you lost 8 of them in one turn. How'd that work?
So,
anyway.
Yeah, there's definitely some interesting thoughts there. I think it's definitely one you need to play test with your board before going in, and then they're going to be at Fimbulwinter, so you might, if you're going to be a contender, you might want to just play somebody who's using them just to kind of refresh yourself on the mechanics and the sequence of events, and just kind of plinking at them a little bit every turn isn't the way to go. You
No,
just want to run them out there. So I think, I think well played. If you got a particular planet in mind, I think they can have as much fact as the Sons of Death, Golgadel, maybe even more than the Shield Maidens. But yeah, they're not killing guys, so it's okay. Yeah, they're doing it in other ways.
Mm-hmm.
Another one we're allowing at Fimbulwinter, the Vagrant Warriors, Monty.
Yes.
So these are kind of your generic kind of deserter. I kind of lumped them in with deserters in the Age of Invasions, but chose to use the Vagrant Warriors profile. These are 8 warriors. You can give them heavy weapons. That could be fun. During the first activation of the turn, they can transfer a fatigue marker to a unit with them very short. Either way, they can give it away or they can take it.
Mm-hmm.
When they're assembling the combat pool, they generate 2 extra attack and defense dice for each of their fatigue markers. And then anytime the Vagrant Warriors use an enemy fatigue marker, they increase their armor by 1 and decrease the enemy's armor by 1. So you get both the things you can do with the fatigue. They unlock it with 1. So I have played these guys. I think they're pretty good. They're basically, if you have some fatigues, you can still go into combat, and if they have the same amount of fatigues or less, or if they have more, if they have a couple of fatigue, I mean, you're coming out on top. You just feel like a champ no matter what with these guys. And then once they get down to that last guy, and he's exhausted, you wouldn't believe what that guy can withstand. Because one model, he generates 1 attack. He doubles the attack dice to 2, but he gets all 6 all those defense dice on his own. So he needs to be shot out because you're just going to get upset charging into these guys. Have you run these guys or run against them?
I saw them just last weekend, as a matter of fact, and it was pretty awesome. My buddy was running Goths, and he thought they would be a good pair, and holy Hannah, they are like a nice fit. Since you're letting them come into the Fimbulwinter event, I would say Goth players might want to take a peek at this one because of the fatigue taking or delivering, which is exactly what makes the Goths go. That's a nice touch. And then in our game, I would say the one conclusion we kind of came to, the Vagrant Warriors came out as point of the spear, kind of right out of the gates. And when the game was over, we were kind of resetting and talking about things. And I would kind of recommend, given since it's the enemy's fatigue makes them use that veteran ability where they get the double, they go up and you go down based on one fatigue. I think you want to kind of make them second wave, and you want to unleash them turns 3, 4, 5, 6 when the battlefield is muddy and there are multiple units with fatigues. I think they could kind of get out there and Pac-Man. So don't lead with them. Perhaps let them come in second wave when the enemy's kind of fatigued up.
Yeah, agreed. If they got 2 fatigues, they're going to be armor 6, and they're going to be down armor 2 or 3 or 4.
Right.
And so even if, and it's even if you have your fatigue, they're only bringing it halfway if they use your 2 fatigues, and you already generated your attack and defense dice on top of it. So these guys just love it when it's nice and sloppy at the end of the game there, and they do a lot of work. So targeting them early if you're fighting against them and trying to shoot them out. They have nothing against shooting to help them out, so they're just warriors on foot, so it's a pretty good bang for your buck. And almost anybody at Fimbulwinter will be able to take them, so you got to be prepared for these guys. This includes the invasions forces, so like you said, the Goths, kind of shunting around a fatigue here or there can go a long way towards ensuring you have the right number of fatigues on your unit going in. A couple other ones I could see. The Saxons. You go in, you go in 2, maybe 3 fatigues, whatever, and then you get all your attack and defense dice, and then you use the Führer to ditch them all. So they can't. You might go down, but they're not going to blunt. They're not going to blunt your attack. If you're going in with a few fatigues. So that could be fun.
That's
the
good.
Other one is we're letting the Umayyads play with the Vagrant Warriors. So the Moorish board, there could be something there. I'm not super familiar with the Moor board or the Umayyad changes to it, but the Umayyads, we're going to let them take the Vagrant Warriors and the Nomadic Horsemen. I don't think the Horsemen are really doing anything for them, but the Vagrant Warriors could be a little tasty, something to look into.
I like it. So quick question before we jump off of them, just a little flicker of a thought. The idea of closing ranks, being exhausted, and getting 6 extra defensive dice, it's just so juicy, right? You just want to keep that last figure alive. But counterpoint, if I equip them with heavy weapons and I hold them for turns, let's say, second wave, 3, 4, 5, and I get in there when the enemy has fatigue, holy Hannah, if the enemy has 2 fatigue, I drop a warrior from a 4 to a 2, and with my heavy weapon, I'm auto-hitting all of my stuff. And then conversely, I would be, oh my gosh, this is just so juicy. I would be armor as a warrior 3 going to 5. I don't know. I do like closing ranks and all those defensive dice, but there might be a reason to, what do you think, give them heavy weapons?
Well, another point too is you're okay with these guys fighting when they're exhausted, But the -1 is kind of a big deal. There can be tricks, but with your +1, you're always fighting fair. They can never
Right.
they can never
all your
make you
dice.
auto miss.
Exactly.
Where,
that's good.
The vagrant. Maybe I will try to take out that last vagrant warrior because you're exhausted. I'll just make you miss, or I'll just take my chances, see if you can flub the dice. But with the heavy weapons, you're always going to get your licks in, and 6 defense die. It's nothing to sneeze at there.
Interesting.
So that might be a reason, is so you can keep playing even when you're exhausted. Keep pushing them, and they can't. Don't let them stop you, Monty.
Nice.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, they'll be fun to play with. All right, we're getting towards the end here.
Yep.
Looking at the scouts. Now, this is an interesting unit because it's 8 levies. They're equipped with bows or javelins. Their first movement activation during each phase is free, so they pay for themselves. Very good. They count uneven as open and dangerous as uneven. If they're completely inside the terrain, all other units in their warband count it as open if it's uneven, difficult if it's dangerous. And then whenever an enemy ends a movement within medium, you can activate them to move.
Yep.
So that is fun here. And it's kind of weird. They're levies, so it's kind of... You're getting when they get killed, you're not paying the price on the massacre points quite as much as a unit of warriors. So unit of warriors would be 8 warriors would be 4 points plus an extra 2 for being a merc.
Mm-hmm.
These guys are, I guess it's 3 points only plus 2. So some of that math could come up. But they're not as good as warriors, but they have certainly have some abilities here. So, Monty, I know you've tangled with these boys before. I'm sure you played against them, played with them. I think in our campaign, we might have seen them. And, almost basically every faction except the Yams Vikings is going to be able to take these at Fimbulwinter. How do you rate the scouts out there? Are they... Sons of Death?
No.
Shield Maidens? Where are they in the hierarchy there?
I think it's edge cases, and you really have to have a plan for them because you're spending a whole point on them, and you need to stick to the plan. And I do remember a story from a very good tournament player in the UK who, with the Spanish, took scouts. And his idea was, look, we're all mounted, and so I'm going to do some tricksy stuff like run through the woods, then run back. And when the whole event was done, like 5 or 6 games, he said, I never did any of those things, and I probably could have spent the point better somewhere else. So my point is, like, that happens with me sometimes. I get really excited with the concept, and then depending on the terrain and if your opponent falls for certain things, like you might be like, oh, the idea of like, putting my scouts into the woods, and now I run through the woods and I pop out in a place where I didn't expect. I mean, is that going to happen? Right? Or like in our game, I thought they were safe, and I got them in the woods, and you showed me a neat little trick where your pagan people showed up and charged them and killed them before they could use their little survival trick.
Yes, so the weakness there, they can run away from a move. They can't run away from a charge. Or they could be shot up, or they could be pushed off the terrain, or, and I would say they're pretty good. I mean, if you're taking a mostly mounted faction, which in Age of Vikings, I don't think anybody's all mounted. I don't know.
Unless
Normans,
you're doing
maybe?
maybe the Welsh, but the Welsh have their own.
Well, you can just swap out and take them
that's
on
right.
foot.
You could swap out. Yeah.
In Age of Crusades, where you're locked in to mounted Hearthguard, Warlord must be mounted. They could be more valuable. I think for Fimbulwinter in particular, there's a lot of, if you look at those scenarios, all of them have a little something messing with terrain. And then the 2 tables are sharing one set of Saga terrain. So you're not even, it's kind of a crapshoot in what you're going to get as far as terrain.
Better get to the table early.
Yeah, come on, let's go to this hustle. Let's roll. What are you going to bid? I'm not going to bid. I'm going to bid nothing. Yeah. Get it rolling. So I think the terrain is a little more chaotic at Fimbulwinter. So even though the invasion factions can take them, even the Sassanids, I don't know, maybe that could be a good one. Tromping your elephants through the woods there. That could be fun.
It would.
That could be fun, but yeah, like you said, you can imagine the scenarios all day where they, are clutch, but they just don't quite work out. I think they're fair choice. Yep. You can have some fun with them, but not on the top of the Merc list. Pretty fair choice, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Wandering Bard. Have you messed with this guy, Monty?
It's
free.
Yeah,
why wouldn't
he is
take
free.
Him?
But you know what they say about free? You get what you pay for. So the problem is that he completely changes how you play your warband, and in my experience, I don't like the way this ends up playing for any other warband except the Anglo-Danes, because the Anglo-Danes with a bard, and I'm not going to remember the ability, but it is the bottom right-hand column where the warlord sweeps all their fatigue and then goes armor 6. That's perfect. That, if you're Anglo-Dane and you want a free Merc, Wandering Bard, make your warlord a beast and just, run around the battlefield and destroy everything with your warlord. It's fun. And every other build, when I've tried to try things or look at other boards, there's no one that gives you the ability to clear the fatigue off your warlord. And with the resting restrictions, it just kind of becomes a mess.
Yeah, so... yeah, it really messes up how you use your warlord. So, per the fact, charge activations are free as long as the bar is within line of sight of your warlord. His aggression is increased by 2, so generally 10. You got resilience 2 instead of 1.
Right.
And there's some wordy charge restrictions here. You lose, we obey.
Yep.
Yeah, there's some significant downsides here. I guess the other warband I would say is the Norse Scales.
Oh.
Yeah. There's a video battle report with Peaker where he takes the Wandering Bard with his Norse Scales, and with the slaves. And one ability, you can kind of Energizer Bunny your warlord.
Wow.
And kind of keep going a little bit. So
that's
you could
brilliant.
Kind of get 4 or 5 charge activations out of them, and at the end everybody's exhausted, but there's a lot of dead guys, and assist your warlord breathing heavily, but still alive. So you can have some fun there. Yeah, it's interesting. I should do a battle report with the Wandering Bard here. Yeah, I don't know. He's free, but there's a cost, as you say, Monty. We're not allowing him at Fimbulwinter. I don't have any issues against him, but he didn't make the cut.
It's okay.
Wanted to keep it limited. 2 more to go here. We've got the priest, and he does some stuff here.
Yeah, but
I don't think we need to repeat it all, but it gives you Saga Dice versatility. Now, we're using the Seer at Fimbulwinter. So the Seer is from Age of Invasions, and the rules, I don't think they're exactly identical. Maybe they are, actually. I don't have it up here. But yeah, I think maybe it is. But the Seer generates a Saga die, and the Priest has been fact to not generate a Saga die, and otherwise they're identical.
Bingo.
Yeah, I'm confused. There's a Bishop in Age of Invasions as well, so it's slightly different. So the Seer is identical to the Priest and still generates a Saga die. So we're going to let everybody take the Seer from Age of Invasions. So he does Saga die utility, and he generates a Saga die. On the downside, he's not eight bodies. He's not be killing stuff. He's just making your board better. Monty, we've been through the priest days of first edition here. We lived through them. We survived.
Yep.
We could talk about it. Have you used the priest or seer in the second edition here?
No. I'm fine with letting the dice gods help me spit out the dice I need. And certainly the priest, once they took away the Saga die generation, that's just too big of a hit. There are just a couple war bands that love their rares so much, people say I'm willing to give up a point, but I'm not. I'd rather have more bodies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could see Anglo-Saxons, perhaps.
Oh,
There's a big difference.
Yes.
I mean, we're talking about bodies. You're missing bodies.
Yep.
They got enough bodies. That's the one war band. They got enough bodies, and you can hide them and gum it up. Yeah, I think it's just too vulnerable. You're down a unit of troops.
Mm-hmm.
On turn 4 or 5. Well, you have 4 Saga dice instead of 3, but that's the only unit that hasn't seen combat. What are you going to do with them? He's tricky. People can sneak the points in on him.
Yep.
Yeah, even I think it's fair with the Saga die, given what you're losing out. I think most war bands, I don't know, Umayyads, Monty, the Moors, do they need that rare?
No, not really.
So.
No, seriously.
Yeah, so not rating that one highly. That's one where you definitely got to have a plan going in. You can't just slot it in. Otherwise, I think you'd be kind of disappointed. All right, let's move to the personal champion here, Monty.
Yep.
Last one. Anybody can take one of these.
Yes.
1 point. He's a pretty good fighter, like a little mini warlord.
Yep.
You can shunt a fatigue over to him from your warlord, and then they can't charge your warlord if that guy's standing there. And then he's been fact to generate a Saga die on top of it. So he's got determination and a Saga die. So you're getting great utility there. Pays for himself. He's loyal. You can use all your battle board
That's huge.
abilities. I like him. I like this guy. Monty, have you used him or played against him?
In the last year, I have used the personal champion more than anything else, and just kind of
I guess
I've been leaning into like that determination, leaning into the Saga die, and just pair him up with the warlord. The one thing that I noticed myself doing, right, like because you're trying to do like maybe 2 things, so they got to really be a pair. I mean, they don't have to be, but ideally, right, for the synergy here, you kind of want to have them next to the warlord. But you have to be a little careful because if his combat goes bad, you know,
he
then
pops,
right? Then he pops,
on.
and he weakens the warlord, and I did have that in one game where he was hammering away, he was doing well, and then it just kind of went sideways, and like you said, he popped, he fatigued the warlord, then the warlord went down. I'm like, well, that's game.
Mm-hmm.
Oh well.
Yeah, I think I like them. I've used them. If you have a warlord, like you said, that's maybe a little more aggressive. You like to play a little more aggressive. Take the personal champion here. You can kind of get away with a little bit more stuff. Any of the boards with fatigue management. So, the Vikings have some stuff you can do there. The Norse Gales could be fun. We're going to let the Yams Vikings, Monty at Fimble Winter.
Yes.
They're going to take they can take a personal champ. That's going to be fun.
Yes, it will.
The activations will never end. That could be fun. Yeah, I think it's, especially as they're generating a Saga die now. Mm-hmm. They got to do a little work to get him. He fights almost as good as a unit of Heartguard. Yeah,
right.
Really, yeah. He's kind of just a couple attack points down. Mm-hmm. So I rate him pretty highly. I think pretty fair. I'd rate in the same category as the Shield Maidens there.
Agreed.
I think some similar utility there. I could see taking one or the other. Yeah. Well, we've gone through the entire list, Monty. And, I think our number 1, the Sons of Death. Is that?
Yeah, I think
probably
so.
Now, the Vagrant Warriors, would you put them above Shield Maidens personal champion, or would you
So if
rate them in the same kind of tier?
Right, this is tricky. I think I might put them in the same only because, well, shoot, I've seen the power of them, and I've seen the power of them with the Goths, and I'm just trying to think, like, would I still rate them as highly with, like, if I somehow were pairing them with some other warband? Whereas the Shield Maidens, I fully understand all the things they can do, and that they bring a bundle of things. They can screen for me. They're going to rest off of fatigue. They're going to have determination. So that's tough. I think I might put them kind of side by side.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I'd probably put them in just a little notch above the champ and the Shield Maidens. I'd say closer to the Maidens than the Sons of Death, the Golgadel. But if you're going to pin my arm behind my back, rub my face in the dirt, Monty, that's what I would say. Yeah, I think bottom here, probably Steppe Nomads, Nomadic Horsemen.
Yeah.
They need a little bit more help.
Yeah.
I think Priest, Angry Monks, Bretons, they're not the bottom.
No.
But I think you got to have a plan.
Yes.
Going in. And then the Scouts too, maybe in that category. But one where, I don't know, you're prone to delusions of grandeur with the Scouts. Maybe with the other ones too, where you kind of have grand visions. I would say probably all four of those. You kind of have a grand vision of how, you're going to unlock some kind of secret sauce.
Yep.
But it probably won't quite develop that way over the course of probably one game at the tournament. They'll be clutch, just the way you envision, and then the other 2 or 4 games they just kind of go poo-poo on you. Yeah, Monty, are you going to? You don't have to. Are you going to take a mercenary to Fimble Winter? You probably have a couple ideas for factions. You probably haven't decided on that yet, I'm sure.
Exactly.
But are you, just everything being even, are you going to, take advantage of this to try to?
I kind of want to.
Not in like a bad way.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
We want to. Let's play. Let's mess around. Let's have some fun. Yeah.
Exactly. That's it. And there's some lovely models for some of these different options too. But for me, it'll really come down to, first, I kind of got to lock away like one of my top 3 factions, and like one of them, the way it works is so good that I just don't know. I don't know that I would, unless we're playing some sort of themey game, I don't know if I would ever take a Merc with them because they're just so good the way they are.
Yeah.
And there are factions like that, right, that are just so solid, the pieces. But other ones, like especially if what I'm bringing with them like adds a synergy or helps give me something that the board or the faction doesn't already have, I mean, that becomes huge. Like for the poor Vikings, right? The Shield Maidens just really can do some heavy lifting, and so that's like just such a nice fit. Mm-hmm. Things like that. So that's a pretty good non-answer answer.
Okay.
I don't want to give away my plays.
You can neither confirm nor deny.
Right.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I'll have to think about it as far as, so I'm going to be the ringer, but if it's an odd number or whatever, I'm going to play. I'm going to try to win, do good.
Of course.
I haven't really thought about my faction at all or what I'm going to be taking. I do like the Shield Maidens. I have the models. For the other stuff here, I don't really have that stuff, in the cache right now. But yeah, I like the Shield Maidens, personal champion. I think those are strong contenders. Like if I would just take Vikings, I'm going to take either one of those.
Yep.
Almost certainly.
Yep.
If I take Norsgales,
Wandering
Bard. I probably would. Well, the Bard, we're not letting in the Bard.
Oh shoot, that's right.
But yeah, I mean my models are mainly Viking-ish models, so we'll see. I haven't decided, but hopefully you guys got a little taste of the Age of Viking Mercenaries. We're going to come back and revisit the named characters at some point. It's not going to be next episode probably, but maybe before the end of the year. Don't want to keep this hanging out here too long. And then we do want to do the Age of Invasions Mercenaries. Same thing. It'll probably be a two-parter, and we'll take a look at them as it concerns Fimbulwinter, and there's some new options for the Viking factions. You want to take wild, hairy dogs, Monty, with your Welsh force? Come on!
Yes.
That could be fun.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, we're going to wrap up the Merc talk for now, and just a couple loose things to tie up. Monty, we're closing in on our goal. Got a couple. One new patron, Scott, Minnesota Scott, came through. He signed up big time. He's making a big contribution. And then I believe John upgraded his Patreon status. Monty, you're the only levy once again.
Oh, no, okay.
Mad respect to you, buddy. Hanging in there. I think John upgraded to warrior status.
Okay.
So we're actually getting pretty close to the podcast version of the show. And then after that would be the 4 episodes. I encourage you guys to pop on over to the Saga Thursday Discord. 591 members, Bonnie.
That's amazing.
There's a lot of good chat going on over there. Love checking out the hobby progress section. Some good stuff there. And coming up, Monty, next week. So this is coming out on the 1st. On September 8th, we're looking at a Polish faction review with Austin from the UK. He's a patron.
Awesome.
And he's talking Polish with me. And then he's also tentatively on the hook for Militus Christi at some point. He plays both of those. So that's a fun discussion. And after that, Monty, is another video battle report. This is me and Davey again. We're playing Republican Romans versus Pagan Peoples.
Oh, wow.
The Pagan Peeps. He's Republican Romans.
Okay.
It's a match. 1,800 years in the making. Once you start looking at the background there. We're playing Wrath of the Warlords, Monty. This is a test. That is scenario 4 at Fimbulwinter.
Yep.
That is the one where you have to get out of your deployment zone.
Yep.
And anything you kill with shooting is only worth the points of a levy.
Wow. I like it.
It's a test run. Can the shooty pagan peoples overcome this evil tournament organizers machinations, however you say that? Find out. It's another good one. And he's onto something. We played a couple times this matchup. It's actually pretty good.
Okay.
The Romans can match the pagan peoples unit for unit, because they like small little units. Mm-hmm. So they can get pretty close. And he kind of gets on the right strategy, but we'll see how it turns out.
Okay.
So tune in for that one. That'll be out on September 15th, that Thursday. So just want to thank all the patrons once again. Terry, Patrick, Sean, Mitchell, Kevin, Scott, and the other folks here. I believe it's 25. I can't remember if I counted that or if I'm just pulling that out of my bottom, but we've got a lot of guys here contributing, making these additional episodes happen. So big thanks to you guys, and please consider joining the Heathen Army, getting us to those next thresholds for even more Saga goodness. Monty, I am looking forward to seeing you soon, buddy.
Soon.
Right, yeah.
It's going to be awesome.
Less than 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Could be 2 weeks. No, it's 3 weeks. Yeah,
Yep.
3 weeks, right?
Yeah.
I'm heading over there. It might be a 2-day extravaganza. It's not locked in yet, but we will touch base on that, I'm sure, beforehand.
Yeah.
And I guess we'll be talking about Saga Storm next episode. Maybe some other stuff, but definitely Saga Storm. And I'm pumped. Yeah, it's been a while. I haven't seen you since. Well, I see you once a month on video.
I mean, that's true.
In person. When was the last time in It hasn't been this year,
No,
right? Last July.
It would be
Been
last
over
July.
a year.
Wow. Okay. Yikes.
Yeah.
The time goes quick.
Were you at Saga Storm last year? Maybe that was
I
it.
did. That's right. We played Saga Storm.
Yeah, so maybe. Oh, yeah, now I remember. Yeah, that matchup. Yeah, well, it's been a year. Too long.
Too long.
I'll bring you your pint glass, your Thirsty
awesome.
Thursday pint glass. I owe you that. Maybe you could bring the Patreon army.
Got
Maybe
it.
we could. I'll bring the cash.
Right over my shoulder.
You know, a little something under the table.
Right.
Work it out. Yeah, that'd be good. If you've used the mercs and figured out some weird combo we haven't thought of, obviously, there's so many different things you can do with the mercenaries and with the different boards and stuff. So comment below if there's a good play or a good trick you like to use. I'd be curious to hear it. If you're heading to Fimbulwinter and any of these mercs are looking tasty to you, let me know. I want to know how that's shaping up. But we've been going on long enough here, buddy. I think that's it, right?
That's it.
All right. I'll talk to you later. Have a good one. Check you later, folks. Bye-bye. Saga! If you'd like to see more Saga content, consider joining the Heathen Army over on Patreon or popping on down to the Saga Thursday Discord server. Links below. Thanks, guys.